Now you're probably wondering, why am I starting off this video with a line of cars in front of me and a security post straight ahead? Well, on this day, my friend and I decided to visit the Dominion subdivision. And even though we don't live in this extravagant neighborhood or know anyone who lives here, we were able to gain access. The reason for our visit here today was because we wanted to check out the cemetery inside the Dominion. Behind this locked fence is the Leon Springs Cemetery, also known as the Aue Rd Cemetery. Despite the fence being locked, this wasn't going to stop me. So I found a way to get inside, and from here I started my journey into the Leon Springs, also known as the Aue Rd Cemetery. After walking through a maze of trees and shrubbery, I finally found something what looked like to be an entrance to the cemetery. When you walk in, you see overgrown trees, dead grass, dead leaves, and temporary grave markers that stick out randomly in the ground. This is just one of the many temporary grave markers that you see throughout the cemetery. Pretty much all of these temporary grave markers don't have any writing on them at all. With the amount of dead leaves on the ground, it's possible that there are other temporary grave markers just hiding like this one here. On some of these graves in this cemetery, it looks like fieldstone, which you see here, was used as grave markers. Now, I'm not too sure on what this whole land was before it became the Dominion, but I'm going to assume that maybe a family that's buried in the cemetery owned land here once upon a time, and most of their families are buried in this cemetery, or perhaps there was a community here. I say that because there are a lot of Hispanic last names in this cemetery, which you'll see in just a moment. Now, it isn't certain on the exact number of people buried in this cemetery, but with the help of Find a Grave, I'll do my best in providing any information that I can about some of the people that are buried in this cemetery throughout the video. There are a good amount of graves in this cemetery that has this concrete perimeter around the grave itself. It's really good in determining that a grave site is there. When walking inside this cemetery and making your way towards the back part of the cemetery, and then turning right from that point, you start to find more grave markers that are in better condition, if you will, and more legible. After visiting Mary Rivas's grave, we're going to take a look at this next grave, which is the grave of Cosmi Aradondo, and this is the grandson of Mary Rivas. Sadly, Cosmi died at the age of 13 from internal bleeding after falling off the back of a pickup truck. His toy marbles were used to spell out his initials on his gravestone. And with this final grave, that concludes our tour of the abandoned and forgotten Leon Springs, also known as the Aue Rd Cemetery. I hope you enjoyed this video tour today, and as always, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Instagram for any updates on future videos or information on cemeteries in general. Thanks for watching.